Back in your life.
We are so live.
We are so live, friends and Pokey family. Ricky, how are you?
I'm good, man. Had a pretty relaxed work day, and now we get to do this.
Now we're live. The Midweek Machamps, Volume 5. We're so back. We're so ready. The entire Pokemon market is booming in every way possible. We've got drops happening of Phantasmal Flames. We've got restocks of all sorts of sets all over the place. We've got 1 month until Legends ZA drops in October. There's just so much happening, and I'm so excited and grateful to be a part of it.
I'm totally with you, man. And I think we're going to talk about a lot of it.
Yeah, we're
today.
gonna get into a lot of it. We're gonna do
We
a
are.
lot of it. So maybe we dive into just a review of what happened 2 weeks ago on our 4th live stream. Tell us a little bit about what we chatted about 2 weeks ago, Ricky.
Yes, we were joined by our friend Earn Collects, and we talked about a lot of stuff. It was arguably our best episode yet, according to many, and
Yeah.
ourselves included, I think. We discussed AI grading. We talked about a bare winter in Japanese sealed. We talked about phantasmal flames, the concept that everyone's investing. And then the main topic was sort of a friendly debate on whether Pokemon is a legitimate, viable, durable business. And what are we risking by me and Earn not going into it full time and balancing our corporate jobs? And what are you risking by having taken that plunge? So it's a great conversation. And if people missed it, they should go back and check it after this one.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun,
It
and
was.
a really good reception from people. I went through and read the comments actually today, and there were so many people that were like, "Hey, you got to have Earn back frequently," and we plan to because we had a fun time with him. We also want to have other guests on. We've been chatting with a few people in the Pokemon space, big names that you all probably have heard of, and so we're excited to get other guests on the show in the future. But that's all old news. What are we talking about today? As you guys know, based on the title here, we want to know if the Pokemon Company can do anything to remedy this insane market. That's our main event. The main event of the evening
Yes.
is going to be that topic later on down the line, and then we'll have Q&A. But let's get into our traditional stuff here, Ricky. Let's talk about a personal collection pickup or some items that you want to highlight that are in your collection, recent additions or just stuff you haven't shown before.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a recent addition. So people responded pretty well in the previous times when I showed the binder, and there were people in the chat saying, hey, show the binder more, like flex the binder. So I'm not going to flex the whole binder, but I am going to show that we are one card away on Neo Shinings, and I will show you the one that I picked up most recently, which is the Japanese. Oh, did I lose you?
No, I maximized you so we can see.
Oh, okay. I was like, what's going on? Cool. I gotcha. Oh my gosh. There we go.
Looks good.
There we go. The Magikarp, Japanese Shining. These are so cool.
And rare
And
too. You don't come across the Japanese Shinings anywhere near as frequently.
no, you don't. You really don't. They are harder to find in a lot of cases. I got a lot of the English done before I got onto Japanese. And I actually have already purchased my final one there, which is the Charizard. So I don't have it yet.
Oh.
But I will have something to show y'all, hopefully in a future stream pretty soon.
So like a binder condition copy, or did you get one that's pretty clean? And how much did you pay? Tell us
It is
all.
sure. It's actually pretty clean. And I paid a little under $1,900.
Wow, that's a big investment.
Yeah. It's not cheap, but that, that Neo page or the Shining page is just totally, it brings me maybe the most joy of anything in my personal collection, or it's way up there. I really like it a lot. So like there's a lot of things in my collection I would sell to fund it if I had to. So I think that tells me that it's money well spent. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to get that one soon.
So if I remember, Ricky, you were working on the 10 Lugias, all 10 PSA 10s with the swirls and everything.
Yes,
And
sir.
then you also had this binder that you're working on that has the Shinings.
Yeah.
It's like Those are like the main things, right?
They were things I've been working on for a while. Actually, so funny you mentioned that. The Lugias, the 10 I had mentioned previously doesn't have an amazing swirl. It's got like kind of half swirl under its armpit, basically.
Sure.
I just also bought a upgrade. It's the same PSA 10 Neo Japanese Lugia, but it has a nice fat swirl, like kind of near its mouth, right in the center. So I will
Nice.
sell the one that I have currently when I get the new one. And yeah, that was and you're gonna ask. I spent 2150 on that
Wow.
shipped. Yeah,
Beautiful. Beautiful.
yeah.
So the reason I ask is what's next? I mean, you're pretty close to finishing these huge PC pursuits.
I know, I know. I knew that was coming. I honestly, I don't know. I
Mhm.
have no idea. I think you're in a similar boat too. Last time we talked about this, you were sort of looking for opinions and input on what to collect next, and you were getting some pretty off the wall ideas. But I don't know, man. I might, I haven't been like personal collecting modern very much, like raw
Yeah.
modern.
Yeah.
So I might go down that. There's a lot of great cards that have come out recently. So maybe now that they're a few months old, I'll start looking at those. Yeah, I really don't know. I'll let y'all know if I have something I feel really strongly about, but I do not know yet.
Yeah, I like you said, I pivoted away from the slabs on the wall, but I've still got all these like vintage master sets that I'm piecing together, and I was able to find a bunch of the e-readers I need for my master sets at a local show actually this past weekend, which is true. Yes, empty slab wall. There's not a single slab up on the wall. Um, but let's talk about a PC pickup that I was able to secure. Last time we spoke, it was just a couple of days before I was going to drive down to Pasadena for the Pasadena Front Row Card Show, which is always one of my favorite shows. And like they always say, you just never know what's going to walk up to your table. And I was able to secure a big collection purchase that included this here
Ooh,
sealed Luigi box.
let's boost ya. What is that? A sealed
Th-
Luigi box.
This is the sealed Luigi box. So it's got the full art and the half art Luigi promos inside. Um,
Whoa.
yeah, so it's a pretty big item, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it. I know that kind of ponchos in general have slowed down compared to what they were doing in like June and July.
Sure.
So I'm not like in a hurry to like rip it open and grade the cards and like make a profit because I don't know. I have a small feeling that 30th anniversary is going to bring some more, renewed eyeballs on the things that happened during the 10th the 20th anniversary, and
Sure.
that was, part of that 2016 promo craze. So we'll see. But I have a sealed Luigi box right now. Kind of cool.
Congrats.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
awesome. Very cool. And look at you. I someone came to my table over the weekend at a show I was vending and actually sold me or maybe traded me a card that they bought from you, and it was a Japanese Magikarp from Triplet Beat in Japanese.
Uh huh.
And I was like, look at Jake. He's got Japanese, and now you're showing off a Japanese box. Like, what's going on?
Hey, sometimes the deal just makes sense, and I'm still like, I'm pretty hesitant unless I have a good idea of what the item is. Like the Magikarp, how could I say no to like having that be part of the inventory from time to time? It's an incredible artwork, and then this, like everybody knows the Mario and Luigi Poncho or full art promo thing, so I figured I'd gamble and give it a try.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes, man.
Absolutely. Nice. Well, good for you, man. I'm seeing a lot of positivity and questions and things in the chat. Yeah, bobblehead here. This is totally off topic from what we're talking about now, but I just wanted to boost that. We will probably get to this topic to some degree today. We were kind of talking about this in prep for the stream. So, people selling things off. Like we've heard some of these stories too. So probably we'll get to that naturally today. So if y'all have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll try to star them along the way and we'll come back to them at the end of the stream. We always like to spend at least half an hour or so just answering your questions after we get through our some of our regularly scheduled programming, as well as maybe a new segment today. Who knows?
Ooh, that sounds fascinating. Stick around. It'll be fun.
It will be. It will be. Our next traditional topic is our favorite deal done recently. Ideally, since our last stream. I think both of us have been doing shows since the last stream. So, and I know you've done local deals and stuff. I've done some online. So maybe we each pick one, and maybe you kick us off with your favorite recent deal.
I did a big deal today. A local collector here in Utah, who has, every now and again does some vending. Um, but they're the kind of person who is like a buy booster box and ETB kind of person and sit on them, and then when they've appreciated a certain amount, just kind of secure the gains by cashing out and buying something that they may need. And I've done a couple of deals with this person. The first time was they wanted to repair their jacuzzi and didn't want to pay out of their own pocket, and so they sold some booster boxes to me.
Nice.
That they had gotten for $90 a box or whatever. And then, at that point they were worth multiple hundreds. And so they just kind of used that profit to pay for that. This time he was fixing up something on his truck, getting new wheels or new tires or something like that. And so we worked out a deal. And so I bought a bunch of sealed stuff today, and it's going right into the long-term hold. I got 3 boxes of Twilight, 2 boxes of Destined Rivals, Brilliant Stars, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, Lost Origin, 3 loose boxes of Surging, a sealed case of Surging Sparks, Pokemon Center ETB from Celebrations and from 151. So just like a big lot of, interesting, valuable types of sealed products that I think are going to be great long-term holds. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm putting a lot of, if and when we turn a profit in the business, a lot of the time I'm just putting it right into products that I think will be helpful for the business in the future years down the road.
Nice.
So that's kind of the move that we made lately. What about you, Ricky?
Nice. Good move. I over the weekend I had a couple fun deals, but most notably the one I'll share today is I met a couple who is master setting all of English,
Oh my goodness.
and they're 91% through.
Whoa.
So these people are, they showed me a photo of 2 bookshelves side by side. I mean, it takes up half a wall of binders. 91% through master setting English. I think they were collecting like 10 years ago. They were opening stuff. So a lot of the stuff they've gotten was when there was just absolutely none of the, market that we see today.
Yeah.
So value wise, I think it was a relatively inexpensive, fun little pursuit until kind of more recently, but they're still pursuing it. So pretty amazing. So they bought a LC reverse Arcanine that I actually got in a trade from somebody at the Anaheim show who had just found his childhood collection. That was like the hit. It was the best card in his childhood collection. It's kind of beat up, but still a cool, rare card. And really like playing on it. He's like, no, you know what? I like your vibe. Like, I feel like you're going to find someone who's going to like appreciate this. And like some of the other vendors were like lowballing crazy, and you're actually valuing this thing correctly. So like he did a trade with me for 151. I got this LC Arcanine. These two are buying it. And then they bought a Fire Red reverse Snorlax, which also I got from someone's childhood collection that morning. So it's that part. The first part is that that's a crazy collection that they're working on, and they're so far through. They're picking up these kind of obscure things that I got from 2 separate childhood collections, and they're going into a true collector's like incredible pursuit. And then I found out after the fact, I post a video on Monday, and someone goes in the comments and says, "Oh, like great meeting you. Got the LC reverse Arcanine and the Snorlax have a good home." And I'm looking at the guys. Anyway, we're talking. He tells me he's like he wants to make content, but he doesn't want to like do algorithm content. And I'm looking at his channel, and I'm like, we went to college together. Like he was friends with my college roommate because they were in the same program, and he used to make content about like Rubik's cubes. And my college roommate and I were making these like YouTube video, like these minute comedy skits.
Yeah.
And we did one about like Rubik's cubes being easy to solve, and it's just a dumb little bit. And then anyway, unbelievable, crazy, like small world situation where like we didn't recognize each other. But afterwards I was like, did did you go to UC Davis in 2011? And we were like, what? Our minds are blown. So that was just on like 3 different levels, a really interesting little deal.
Yeah.
And it's a very small world. And again, like I tend to showcase these stories about like weird connections through
Yeah.
Pokemon. And that's not a mistake. I did many much bigger deals than that. And I thought about highlighting that one of those, but this was the one that kind of like stuck with me as like, wow, that
Yeah.
was like really memorable on a bunch of levels.
It's an example of just how, fascinating the community is. And, I did an Instagram post, I don't know, 6, 8 months back or so, and it was of the Routes Curlia Gardevoir from Scarlet and Violet base. And I talked about how Pokemon cards are fascinating, not just because of the art that, tells a story on the card, but because the card individually, that copy of the card has its own story, where it's traveled, which
Yep.
binders it's been in, and who it's going to end up with for the next few years or however long. And that's what's so fascinating about this hobby.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool story, from someone's childhood binder to you now into this other person and their collection, and you already knew them. That's, I don't know. Yeah, it's a small world, but it's also like, these things just trade hands all the time. It's a trading card game. That's very cool.
It's a trading card game, yeah, and some of the best moments are when you're really reminded of that. I totally agree. Actually, I don't think I've ever talked about this here, but I'm sure people who collect things like to collect all kinds of things. I also collect vinyl records,
Yeah.
and I really haven't been buying a lot of them because since getting back into Pokemon. But that is one of the things I love about vintage vinyl records is like you have this old Bruce Springsteen record that was pressed in '78 or whatever, and you're like, how many people like rocked out to this over the decades before it
Yeah.
made its way into my living room.
Yeah.
And trading cards kind of have a very similar thing to them. So I completely relate to that feeling.
Absolutely.
I know that you do too.
Yeah, and Franny's gotten into like some vintage clothing and stuff, and so it's similar story. Very, I think that's I don't know. In my opinion, it's probably more special than buying something brand new.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Um, all right, dude. Is it time to get into the tall grass?
Let's venture into the tall grass. Make sure you bring a max repel, otherwise we might see something crazy.
We might, but I think today normally we start with a far-fetched idea, but I actually think recently we caught those far-fetched, and we're gonna start on some Hitmon topics today, and then maybe we've got a new pun. You can't handle this.
Yeah, well, it's not realistic. You can't catch far-fetched in those, that first gen. You can only trade for him. So I don't know. What are you talking about, Ricky?
Okay,
How do you
okay,
catch a far-fetched?
okay. Okay, so we're gonna do the Hitmon topics. We've got a lot to talk about. I thought maybe it was a slow news week, and then as you and I were talking through it, within 5 minutes we came up with 100 things we could talk about. So
Yeah,
um, let's start with some video game action and how this might affect the TCG. So we've got Legends ZA coming out in a month, like a month from yesterday.
yeah.
Uh, what do you think about, before we get into like the DLC stuff, what do you think about this potentially bringing more eyes into the TCG side of things?
It's inevitable, right? And I don't have any big opinion about, oh, the game is going to be so high quality that inevitably people are going to want to play it, and then that'll trickle into the cards. Like, who knows? The Scarlet and Violet game release was pretty rough from a quality standpoint.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is when they make a game that's returning to an old region and a throwback, like this will be for those who grew up, they were between 8 and 14, 15 years old when X and Y was brand new. Those people are going to be really excited about this and are going to want to go back and play this game. They're going to want to see how the cards have also done that throwback and are going to they're just going to get back involved in the hobby, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a prime example of this is my little brother, the Jaratar. He just says here he's the target demographic. Um, this is, he's someone that was like on the edge of their seat watching all the leaks and release information on the internet about when X and Y was coming out as a sixth generation,
Mm-hmm.
and those people are this is a target to them. And then the Pokemon company knows what they're doing. They just kind of like they do this cycle, and they like super scoop up all of the people that were involved 10-20 years ago when they do these throwback things. And it's an incredible strategy, and it's an inevitable addition. It's gonna rekindle some flames for people.
Yeah. 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 I totally agree. The fact that it's a throwback game is I think kind of the key, because it's gonna grab all these people, like you said, that grew up with this, and maybe they're not paying attention to the cards right now, but they'll get the game. It's pretty close to the release of the Switch 2, so maybe some people will buy the Switch 2 to get this, and then it'll get them back into it. Like I do, like you said, it's probably inevitable. It's certainly not going to turn people away from the TCG, so it has to
No,
bring people in net.
no, and the cool
Yeah.
thing is, like they've already, and we'll just kind of get into it now, but they've already dropped some hints as to the content for the extensions of the game, the downloadable
Yeah.
content. You've got two different Raichu versions, which if they're gonna lead a DLC marketing campaign with these two characters, you can only think that they're going to have some really cool promo cards or special illustration rares with Raichu on them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that's gonna be a set that people who are playing the game are gonna want to get into. And I don't know, it's just it's a perfect strategy.
The way they've been doing a lot of the mega arts, the Mega Raichu might have Pichu, Pikachu, Raichu on it somewhere in the art, right? So
Yep.
that's all the more reason that it might get attention from people who particularly will obviously recognize Pikachu.
And next topic on this same exact thread, though, is that it's behind a paywall, right?
It sure
So
is.
we're talking about a company that knows what they're doing from a marketing standpoint, and they also know what they're doing from a productization standpoint.
Yeah.
And both of us come from tech. We come from a place where we're talking about products, pricing, packaging, that kind of stuff. You especially much more recently than me.
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing short of a brilliant move, right? Because as much as we might not like it and say that it sucks, like, you're gonna buy it. You're gonna buy it because you're gonna want to get those Raichus, and you're gonna want to play that extended region or whatever they're gonna do. Additional content, additional characters. They're now, the only, I guess, gripe I have is I don't know. I don't remember ever there being a time where a video game advertises paid DLC before the actual first game even comes out.
It's crazy.
That is actually a little bit crazy.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but yeah, it's certainly one of the choices of all time. And we're going to come back to this idea. We're going to come back to this idea with the main event of the evening in a little bit, right? Like the current market, and how Pokemon Company might fix it. And I think we've seen enough evidence that the highest grossing media franchise in human history doesn't exactly hate money and is pretty decent at printing it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they're the highest grossing media franchise, not just because they have really cool ideas
yeah,
about Pokemon and the games and the cards. It's also because they know how to capitalize on their audience.
yeah,
And
they
that's
do.
just a fact.
It is. It is. Yeah. So, kind of in a similar theme to this, sticking with the video game theme, this one's kind of interesting. So, they announced this Pokemon Pokopia. or Pocopia. I don't know. It's probably Pocopia.
Yeah.
It's sort of a Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon style, like life sim. It's the first officially licensed Pokemon life sim, and it's supposed to come out next year. We don't have a date on it yet, but you know, when you and I were talking about this, you're like, oh, this might really get Fran into Pokemon. And I
Yeah.
think that's there's a real interesting, not that she's not into it already, but like into it in a really different way, or to build a connection with a game the way that like you and me and your brother and probably a lot of people in the chat built a
Yeah.
connection with the games growing up. Like this could be an interesting um, corner that gets turned potentially in terms of accessing a whole new audience. I mean, another thing I think of is when you go to these card shows, it's pretty male dominated, but a
Yes.
game like this is very it sort of knows no bounds, right? Like young or old or man or woman or whatever. Like a lot, just you look at something like Stardew Valley, and I know people's old dads who didn't grow up on video games putting hundreds of hours into Stardew Valley, like on their phone or
Absolutely.
whatever, right? So, what are your thoughts on this as a play, and how it might or might not impact the TCG side of the hobby?
It's brilliant, right? It's like it's kind of evidence that in some ways, like Pokemon, the Pokemon company is starting to operate, not starting, it is continuing to operate much more like a conglomerate, like Disney, right? Where Disney, they're creating content and creating products and services that almost every single type and personality of person is going to interact with. And once you get them
Yep.
into your ecosystem in some way, then the probability that they start to interact with other things and get deeper and deeper into the the community and the the company's products and services, that probability just increases, right? So think of it this way: one of the reasons that you love to collect certain Pokemon cards inevitably is because you've had memories or interactions with those Pokemon in the games that you've played.
Yeah.
You used your Blastoise or whatever, and it took you all the way to the Elite Four, and now you want to collect really cool Blastoise cards, and you want to have a Blastoise plushie and a Blastoise T-shirt. Well, think about the people who maybe have never done any of that. Let's say they play this game and they have a little Bulbasaur that's so cute and helps them seed all of their gardens or whatever it's going to be. What's the chance that someone who uses a Bulbasaur in this game is going to want to own the Stellar Crown Bulbasaur card?
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably pretty high, guys. Like it all plays into itself, and it's going to attract a new type of audience, and some percentage of them are going to trickle into the cards and the other games, and
Yeah.
it's just the right move, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Jasmine Evans here in the chat saying like that cozy vibe taps into an entirely new market.
Yep.
100% it does. It absolutely does. And yeah, as Sumis put it, multi-generational nostalgia loop. Like this is totally it, right? Like this game will become nostalgic to some people 5, 10, 15 years from now, assuming it's even remotely decent. Yeah, it's genius. You gotta hand it to them.
Yeah. Shout out Pokemon Company. You're doing the thing, and you're taking our monies.
You're doing the thing is an amazing way of putting the business decisions of the highest grossing media franchise of all time. They are, yeah, you guys are, you're doing the thing. Yeah, that's how I would describe my journey on YouTube. I'm kind of doing the thing.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, this is wild. Yeah, someone pointed out something sort of related, this theme park in Japan. So uh folks that have watched my channel might have seen or gotten introduced to me through some Japan content. And I'm actually going back next year. And I think this park will have opened by then. And we are definitely going to try to go. So if we can go, I'll put together a video of this theme park for y'all.
What
But
part of the
yeah, I
country
mean,
are you going to be in?
what's that?
What part of the country?
Mostly Tokyo. We're going to go up to Kanazawa as well, but mostly Tokyo. My grandmother's still there. She's 93. She's doing well, but not getting younger. So
Yeah.
we actually got an Airbnb that is 5 doors down from her house. So we're
Good.
going to
Good.
kind of do our own Japan life sim. Actually, we're going to do way less touristy stuff. We're going to live in completely basically live for a week in an Airbnb, live in a house for 8 days in a residential district
I
right near
love
my
it.
grandma.
I love
Yeah.
it. And then the theme park is going to be in Tokyo or around Tokyo?
The theme park I actually think is like an hour or two outside of Tokyo to the west. So
Okay.
I think it's going to be a bit of a trek, but we'll try.
I
Yeah.
love it, man.
Yeah.
How
They
fun.
are. They
I got to
are.
get over there. Next year, I think, is the year for us as well. We got to get over to
Yeah.
Japan.
Okay. Love it. Well, I'll be here to make some recommendations if and when you're ready.
Yeah, we will. We will definitely use your experience.
Totally. All right. We got one more Hitmon topic here. It's certainly a less lighthearted one,
Yeah.
but we'll get into some more lighthearted stuff. But this is sort of a reality right now. Some vendors in Anaheim this past weekend at a show just a couple days ago. I believe they're a couple, and they were vending right across when I was in Anaheim a few weeks ago, right across from some people from the Bay Area here. And unfortunately, their entire suitcase with their inventory was stolen from them during a loadout.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, this is happening more and more. You got to be extra vigilant. You got to travel in groups. You got to bring your car up to the venue. West Coast Card Show had the essentially a back entrance for the people that were for the vendors. Like there was a sort of separate parking structure.
Yeah.
So it was kind of good. Like unless it was an inside job, the vendors are certainly much less likely to do something like that. But yeah, you can't just be seen leaving a card show with tens of thousands of dollars in cards and cash in a wagon, just alone, or just two people walking a long distance to your car, unfortunately. So partly we're putting on folks' radars because if we find these certs out in the wild, you keep an eye out for some of this stuff for these folks who certainly did not deserve this, but
Yeah.
also just a caution for folks in the current market. I mean, that's sort of one of the unfortunate realities when there's this much value and attention.
Yeah, and shout out to Jansen, TCG. This is I haven't interacted personally with them too much, but I've seen them at many shows that I've been at, and
Yeah.
they've always seemed to be great people, great vendors, very honest. And so, not that you want to see a bad thing happen to anybody, but it's terrible to see it happen to good people. And hopefully, they can get that sorted out. And if it's possible, and you can support them in your local area, then please do that.
Yeah.
But also just be careful out there. And to those of you would-be thieves or, those who are looking for crimes of opportunity, just know that for the most part, you're only hurting people who with small businesses who have, dreams of, helping, getting themselves to a financial situation so they can serve their own family. So shame on you. And you should go figure your own way out other than stealing from people who are trying to make a difference in their own lives.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the reality is, unfortunately, those people are not watching this podcast, but
Yeah.
if that message gets to them, yeah, man, this is, you hate to see this, and yeah, you put it well. So it's a PSA for folks. You gotta watch out for this stuff, and hopefully, if you see these folks around, you help them out. I know I will. If I see them at a show, I will find a way to help them out. 100%.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's switch up the tone here. We're set with our Hitmon topics, and your brother's training up a Hitmontop while watching this. So a good transition out of the Hitmon topics.
The Jarvatar's out here just crushing little Pokemon in the tall grass with his Hitmontop on his Game Boy as we speak.
Is this for EV training purposes? Is he grinding a specific stat or something like that? I gotta know in the chat.
So the Jarvatar's working on a Gen 3 living dex
Okay.
using only OEM equipment. And I don't know why he would be training a Hitmontop other than to, I mean, he's already got the Hitmontop. I don't know why you'd need to train it. Maybe he's trying to use it in his team, something like that.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, maybe he'll let us know in the chat, I'm sure. All right. Well, just when people thought that we couldn't come up with more Pokemon puns, the reality is Jake, we've got a bank of dozens of them.
Yeah, don't doubt us. We are the Gary Oak and Lance the Dragon Trainer of Pokemon puns.
Yeah.
So what we mean is we're some of the best in the world.
I don't see any evidence to the contrary.
Yeah.
I
What
think
what
we
we
are.
have next is we're going to be sharing our own personal Clefumbles,
Yes.
where we have made a play in the Pokemon space that has not worked out. Maybe spent, some money on something and have big regrets. And maybe I'll go first. Should I go first?
Let's hear your Clefumble.
Here's a Clefumble I made. Card Party East, Tampa, back in June. I had, we were just finishing up the show on the third day because it's a 3-day show, and I had a little extra capital in my business repository of money, and I was like, well, I've got shows coming up, so I might as well spend some of this and add to the inventory because I might not have the chance to buy a lot between now and next weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
So I worked out a deal with another vendor for a Gyarados and Magikarp Poncho PSA 10 sequential set, and I paid very much money and included in the trade was like I think 2 sealed boxes of Evolving Skies. And wow, first of all, still haven't sold the set.
Yeah.
I still have it, and technically, like, the market value as of right now, I think is right about the amount that I paid
Okay.
if I were to sell them right now. So, like, I have on paper not lost a ton of money, but the reality is I wiped out thousands and thousands of dollars from my inventory that's just sitting in a couple of bricks. And yeah, that's my Clefumble. So just be careful, guys, when it comes to big cards and buying things as they've gone up. You never know where the top of the market is, and sometimes you're left holding the bag.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll do it. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully you'll survive. I think you will.
Yeah, we'll live.
Yeah. I
But
think you'll live.
I mean, right now I have little ponchos hanging out at my house, and I don't particularly love them, but someone will want them eventually.
Totally. I'm sure. My Clefumble is that I bought 5 PSA 10 Terrestrial Umbreons
Okay.
for like $700 each.
Ooh, that's a little bit more than they cost right now.
Yep. That's the whole story. I thought people were going to go to that. I thought people were going to go to that because the English one, the pull rates were horrible.
Pull rate's horrible.
And it was like
hard to grade, and
hard to get.
Yeah, it's like $3,500, $4,000 right now.
Yeah. So I tied up $3,440, and now I'm probably just going to try to sell them now in the 400 something range is what I think they're at. I'll probably just try to sell them. So it's not the end of the world either, but I'll burn 1K, and I tied up 3.5 grand pretty much all year.
You'll recover though, Ricky, because whenever you send cards into grade, you just print money.
Yeah, and I've got a little stack going, so we'll see how that one goes.
I love it, man. Yeah,
I think I'll be okay, but it was certainly a Clefumble.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I like to play. I like the idea. The speculation makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just swing and miss, and that's what we call a Clefumble.
Indeed. Someone's suggesting to hold the Umbreons. They'll eventually go back up. Here's the thing. I agree, but like, what if I have to hold them for 4 years and I could have just put that 3 or whatever grand into something else? I'm certainly more of like a seller or a flipper than an investor. So I'm not really one to like throw. Okay, hey, JT's got me. He's vending with me in 2 weeks. All right, man.
You have the best mods in the world if they're willing to bail you out of your own financial mistakes.
What a guy! I'm seeing him in a couple of weeks here, but yeah. Someone's saying, don't feel too bad about their Clefumbles too. 2 stained birds at Card Party East at 500. Yeah, Yeah, it does. It happens. It
It
happens.
happens, guys.
It happens. It does. All right. Well, fun to share some Clefumbles, and we'll rotate these segments as time goes on. You'll hear new poke puns. As Jake put it, we are already the very best, like no one ever was. So you're welcome for the Clefumbles, and it's time, I think, to give everyone a Gyarados of reality or two.
Yeah, I think we should drop a Gyarados of reality, and I'm really thinking these two are going to make a Magikarp-sized splash in everyone's, perception about the quality of this program right now, because people are spending really big money
Yeah.
on cards that you and I really don't think should be worth that kind of money.
Yeah.
Let's pull up. We've got a Hamburger Pikachu Black Label sale. This is an auction, which means it had a whole bunch of bidders on
Yeah.
Z&G. Went for $21,100.
Yeah.
21,000.
And confirmed paid. I think Z&G put out a statement that it's confirmed paid.
Yeah, when I see this, all I think is there not anything else that you could have done with your 21,000? Like, do you already own all the other cool Pokemon cards? But maybe they're just a high-end Pikachu collector.
Yeah, or they just wanted to say they were first. I mean, that's
Yeah,
a bit of a flex, I guess.
yeah. I've been there. I bought the first ever Black Label Cynthia's Garchomp EX
Right?
from Heatwave Arena. Now, the only public sale that I've seen um, prices it higher than what I bought it for. So I don't feel like that was a huge L. But I bought that card um, kind of as a not really like as a play, mostly just
Yeah.
kind of I honestly saw it kind of like a piece of modern art, and my really close friend graded it, and so
Hmm.
it was just kind of like, yeah, this just makes sense. We're in the hobby together doing this thing. But yeah, this Pikachu. I mean, I spent 4,000. 21,000 is quite a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. 4,000 is more reasonable. There's a lot of Black Label cards that are around that price point. So if that doesn't feel far-fetched, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking about the other cool Black Label cards that you could get for this price. Or like so many vintage bangers. But the
Oh,
other
for
thing
sure.
about it is not just about the amount of money that was spent, but the probability that like you could get this for so much cheaper probably 3 years from now. It
Yeah,
seems to me like inevitable that this price is like the highest it'll ever be.
probably. I mean, this person doesn't care about that, right? This has to be a person who does not care about
Right.
that.
Yeah. And that in and of itself, guys, is its own Gyarados of reality,
It
right?
is,
So one
yeah.
of the things we're going to talk about, not just today, but for the rest of forever, is people buying Pokemon cards, high-end Pokemon cards, or sealed boxes, or whatever, and they're coming from a place financially that many of us are not in. They're in a place where money is an extremely abundant resource, and they just want the things that they want, and whether they pay 4,000 or 24,000, it's not a huge deal. Now, most people who get to that point financially, they're looking for good deals, and so they're not just throwing money away. They're typically more scrupulous in that, but not all of them,
Yeah.
especially those who got their money maybe in a swift way. I've seen a couple of people talk about people locking in crypto gains or
Yep.
whatever. Some people, and I'm familiar with some who have made a lot of money and are making a lot of money trading and speculating on cryptocurrencies, and yeah, they feel differently about money than the most of the people that I've met, including myself.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep. That is indeed its own Gyarados of reality. And I think pretty related to that whole topic is that idea of like the current value. Yeah, whale lords are gonna whale. Hey, that's not bad.
Shout out Waylord.
Shout out Waylord.
Wait,
Indeed.
that seems like a good potential segment
Segment.
for us.
I'll write it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
Thank
is
you
it
so
like?
much for your trading. We're going to take that and trademark it. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Whalelord movement, Whalelord splashes. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Yeah, that's funny. This Sheldon recognize this is indeed a protein shake. The recipe is Jocko Molk
Shout out
protein.
Jocko.
Shout out Jocko. Yeah, free plug. Hey Jocko. Yeah, hit us up with the coupon code or whatever.
Yeah, let us come train with you in San Diego, Jocko.
Yeah. So like a scoop and a half of that, and then I have this like Costco smoothie mix. It's got berries and kale, and then a little bit of orange juice, a little bit of water, and I blend that bad boy. It's not bad.
Health. Look at you.
Health, big health. Yeah, we were talking about our protein chips right before the stream. Me and Jake are health.
Well, I've been healthier, but we're all somewhere on the spectrum of health.
Yes. The most cop-out statement. The spectrum of health. It's a very broad spectrum.
Oh man.
We were talking about price memory. We were going to talk about price memory.
Yes.
And the liquidity of slabs over $300 at shows right now.
Yes. Our second Gyarados of reality today, guys, has to do a little bit with what we're seeing in the, I would say primarily Sword and Shield, and then also Scarlet and Violet PSA 10 modern cards, alt arts, illustration rares, SIRs, etc. And they're just, a lot of them are taking big leaps up. Some of them more than 100% increase in cost just in the last month or so. Yep. Like I'm looking at the Pikachu from 151 where he's running through the street. PSA 10, it was going for like $200 and now it's at like $450 over the course of the last month, less than a month. And interestingly to me, as I've gone to the shows after those price rises have occurred, I'm bringing a lot of those kinds of cards to the shows. And I'm thinking, wow, these cards are going up in value and people are going to want to participate in that. They're going to want to jump in and grab them. And lots of them haven't sold for me. And so I'm curious about their relative liquidity now that they're at this new price point. And the Gyarados of reality we're trying to figure out is that resistance to their liquidity right now? Is that going to result in the price just going down, or do we have to just wait a little period of time and for people to become adjusted to these new price points, and then they'll start buying and selling and trading them again?
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, it's basically one of two things. Either those prices go down so people can accept the prices again and start buying, or they get used to it because they hang out at these new prices, right? That Pikachu stays $400, and people just eventually learn to accept and feel confident in the idea that that's what that's worth.
Yeah,
it's one of the two options.
Yeah, I like this take here from Sheldon, trying to trade slabs for booster boxes. Totally understand this play, honestly, especially if you're not someone who is like actively trying to have a storefront or a vendor table on a frequent basis, and you're just trying to kind of lock in some value and be a little bit safer than the speculation and big peaks and valleys of graded cards. This is a solid move.
Yeah. I mean, you and I were talking about buying sealed early right before the show. I just got a storage unit to put my sealed stuff in because I kind of want more.
Yeah, sounds like an investor to me.
I mean, insofar as I just want to use the gains to buy more Pokemon cards, sure. I don't expect it to contribute to my retirement, but
an investor in future Ricky's degeneracy then.
Yes. Oh, I'm a huge investor in that. I'm definitely somewhere on the spectrum of degeneracy, as you would put it.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Let's
get into our main topic, shouldn't we?
Let's do it.
Guys, what do you think? Can Pokemon fix the market? And what are we talking about? Well, it's no secret for basically this entire calendar year, it's been extremely difficult to find product at or below MSRP. Below MSRP basically doesn't even exist. And but at MSRP. And then on top of that, I would say an additional complication that we're seeing is just the logistical issues that the Pokemon Company is starting to exhibit with their admission that ETBs for Mega are going to be delayed and they're going to be doing waived releases. And, it seems like they're printing a ton of prismatic and not anywhere near as much of some of these other sets that
Mm-hmm.
came out earlier this year that seem to desperately need it if we're going to take price point as any indicator.
Yeah.
And in general, we want to know what can they do to fix it, and then also broach the subject of, do they really want to? Do they even care to make these things more affordable, or similarly affordable as they used to be?
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that kind of put it straight for you there, Ricky?
I'm following you. We did have a question in the chat on like what is fixed exactly, and I think we're just talking about availability of product. The attractiveness of scalping being much lower than it currently is, right? I think that's sort of what we're referring to. Is just the timelines, the availability. Is there anything else that you would like include in the definition of fixed? The stability, maybe, and the value, secondary market values. Like anything else you would include in that?
Yeah, I think fixed is a subjective idea, and every different person is going to come to the hobby looking for different things, and they're going to have different levels of resources and different levels of patience and attention
Yeah.
in regards to getting new products. But the vast majority of retail products that are sold in this country sell for MSRP.
Yeah.
And I would say the simplest way to refer to a fixed, repaired market for new products produced by the Pokemon Company is how readily available and for how long is it readily available to be purchased at MSRP.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not the kind of person that is like saying that morally you need to be, creating a market where things are always at MSRP forever. This is a collectible secondary market after all.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the items have proven to be so much more monetarily valuable to the marketplace than your suggested retail price. Um, then there's just some things that are out of whack. And what can be done to get it back to that point where you could realistically go and, on release day or a week after release day or 5 weeks after release day, still go on to the
Mhm.
Pokemon Center website or onto Target or whatever and buy an ETB or a bundle for MSRP. What needs to happen for that to be the truth?
Well, we've got some ideas in the chat, and maybe we start talking about some of those. Like here's one: reducing sets per year so they print more through the year. Would that help? Would the Pokemon Company ever entertain this?
I mean, this specific tool is probably in the same camp as all of the things that we might recommend, which is the Pokemon Company needs to do more to reduce excitement in their products.
Yeah.
They need to put out less exciting things, and whether that's less exciting because the art or the characters or the um, you know the probability that there's going to be another shiny thing 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 10 weeks from now, as far as like the frequency of new sets. is it realistic to expect the company to intentionally like put water on this really hot market? You know, like you don't think they'd slow down after their already existing marketing? Oh, that's true. That's true. Like they plan out, set releases in whatever many months in advance,
Yep.
probably more than a year in advance would be my guess. But yeah, I mean, if we look at some of the other companies in this space, and I'm not extremely familiar with other TCGs, but some of the channels that put out content that I consume also are in the world of Magic the Gathering.
Hmm.
And Magic the Gathering is a longer standing card game than Pokemon and has been through many cycles, both caused by the market and caused by their own business decision making. It seems like they have, at least I think we're talking about Hasbro is the company that puts out that game. It seems like they have pivoted to a place where they don't really even assign things in MSRP, and they're just going to make products, and whatever they sell for, they sell for.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and that
Yeah. I
has
mean,
pulled their card game into an incredibly lucrative place. Sorry, I cut you off there, Ricky.
no, not at all. Sorry, I thought you were done. I cut you off. I was just going to say on the point of the marketing schedule that this is a schedule they've held to for like, I think the entire franchise, right? Like they've been releasing sets every 3 months or so forever. So I don't see them stopping doing, I don't think that's going to be the solution. So obviously there's other things they could print more of each set. They could, verification systems. Like people were talking about this in the chat. The, I'm trying to find this, getting like Phantasmal Flames, like limits of 2 per buyer. Something kind of interesting happened this morning that not everyone would see, but I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I'm very interested in attending Worlds and Pokemon XP next year. And the tickets were supposed to release this morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, and they delayed them. And they delayed them like last night. Like it was really, really recently that they decided to delay them. So I suspect that is to deal with people, like maybe they knew that they didn't have the measures in place to deal with ticket scalping. And so they're delaying them so they can put those measures in place. So it definitely feels like at a minimum, that's a thing they're working on now, right? It certainly seems like they got their eyes on that and they don't want that to be happening.
I hear that, but like the conversation around creating the point of sale process and making it more ironclad and not easy to be manipulated.
Yeah.
I think that's something that they're inevitably going to do, just so their reputation is stronger and so their technology's in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the truth. Um, whether someone is going in and botting or people are buying up huge amounts of the stock or not, the secondary market still exists, and it still is driven by demand. The botting conversation is a question of supply.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And when I'm at a card show and a brand new set has come out, um, there's people there who, on one hand, there's people there who brought boxes that they were able to secure at retail, and many of them are bringing them. They don't want to rip all of them. They want to just trade them in and get trade credit. Those people are expecting to get a trade value from a vendor based on the secondary market value, not on MSRP.
Yeah.
And the people that are at that card show to buy the new set, they are willing to pay secondary market
Yeah.
price.
Yeah.
And whether that's exclusively fueled by the capitulation and belief that this is my only chance to get it because it's being scalped and botted, I personally just don't believe that. Like, is that
Mm.
contributing? Yes, but
Sure.
I also believe that the market has become accustomed to a higher price. Now, I don't personally want new sets to come out and them to, only be available at literally double MSRP.
Yeah.
But the the fact that it is so high, it's talking about the supply side is honestly, I think, less than half of the story.
Yeah. Okay. So that does beg the question, does the Pokemon company like the current level of demand? Do they want to quell the demand then?
I think, and I think I said this on the podcast with on the Card Lounge podcast with Jake and Robo back in, when was that? June or something like that, months ago. I told them that I personally believed that the Pokemon company throttled production at the same time as creating more interesting sets in the SV block because they were concerned that they had upticked MSRP at the beginning of the Scarlet and Violet generation, but that didn't change the actual secondary market value of new release products. Newly released products, SV1, 2, 3, and on, like you could get them for, on release day, like $95 a box on the secondary market. And then weeks after, down to 90, 85, sometimes $80 a box. And this was an MSRP of $160 plus.
Yeah.
And so they saw that their change in MSRP didn't automatically create a perceived increased value in the marketplace. And I think that they did something to correct that. And I think that they overcorrected. And I think that they want things in general for some period of time after release to be purchasable for MSRP. And so in my mind, they're just gonna, I think their only lever that they can pull is production quantity.
Okay. Do you think they're going to pull that lever?
I think they are.
Yeah, they have to. I think they're doing it, right? Yeah. I do too.
Like, guys, like, let's be real. They told us in February, I think it was, that they're going to print at maximum capacity for prismatic evolutions.
Yeah.
And they have done that. That set has found its way into more collection boxes and more big box retail stores than anything I've ever seen in this hobby. And you've got exclusives for most of these stores and new things coming all the time. And the ETB just went from $100 to $115 market price over the last few weeks. Like, that is an indication of unbelievable demand.
Yeah.
And the fact that that hasn't quelled that demand, it hasn't slaked the thirst. And then all these other sets, Twilight, Surging, Journey, Destined, are just ticking up, taking steps up in value on the box and on the case price. It just shows that, like, the Pokemon company, they had this prismatic focus, and then maybe they get a chance to focus on some other things while also releasing new sets and new products till the end of the year and all throughout next year. But I don't, like, right now they're going to make the printing machine go burr, and I don't think it's going to change much for the next 8 months, maybe.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, man. Yeah, these like 6 to 9 month reprint windows, like they should be hitting, and some people are seeing them, but then they sell. The demand is at an all-time high.
Yeah. I was just on a quick FaceTime call with my sister, who is in North Carolina, and she lives kind of in the same area as my stepmom and my dad. And my stepmom was at Costco and saw that there were Surging Sparks, ETB, and bundle combo products on the pallet at Costco. And Surging Sparks, it's been out for coming up really close to a year now. And the boxes, compared to many SV sets, were quite a bit cheaper than a lot of these other things that have come out since then. And my stepmom was able to get, I think, 2 of the bundles. And gave one to my little sister to open. And my little sister said that that same day she saw people flipping them on Facebook Marketplace for twice the price.
Of course.
And that's an ETB and bundle. That's not even a booster box. So it's every set, it's every product. People just want to rip, and they also want their free tendies.
Boy, do they want those free tendies. Yeah.
So I think we should go back, and I've monopolized our time talking about how crazy this market is. But what can the Pokemon Company actually do besides print as much as possible, Ricky? Like, what novel ideas that are and ones that they're actually going to implement? Like, obviously, like, oh, stop making new products and new sets for 8 months and only print things they've already, like, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. Yeah. So one of the things I think they could and might do is release smaller sets.
Okay.
So with smaller sets like Stellar Crown, one of the reasons people feel like Stellar Crown is bad is not just because it's not as strong of a set as some of the other sets from the era, but it's a small set. And so people finish collecting it quickly. And I'm interested to see how this works with Phantasmal Flames, because the people who are actually collecting it, they move on. Like right now, if you have, I don't know about you, but I don't sell a lot of Stellar Crown Raw cards. But I did when it first came out, which I think was like around this time last year. So like October of last year, I want to say. I was able to sell a lot of the Stellar Crown stuff. Now there's only a couple cards that sell from that set, Bulbasaur and those ones. And yeah, I think like when the set's small, people collect it quickly and they move on. That's one thought, and you're through the lens of like a collector. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on smaller sets? Because I think Phantasmal is a smaller set.
Yeah, I like the idea. Now, yeah, if you put Charizard and Gengar in it, probably doesn't matter, because every single person's going to want the chase card.
Yeah.
But think of it this way. Let's say they do that for a set or two to try to calm things down. They do that for a set or two, and we get the desired result of people becoming disenchanted with that smaller set and moving on to other things. What are they going to move on to? They're going to move on to all these other sets.
Yep.
That they haven't been able to catch up to, and those are going to then go up in value even faster. So in order to do what you're talking about, we're talking about like at least 6 straight sets of intentionally smaller, intentionally less desirable, in order to like just absolutely dampen confidence that they can come out with something that's really hype and desirable.
That's basically what I'm suggesting. I'm not saying I'm predicting it, but yeah, like just doing smaller sets for a while. I mean, it could work. We talked, some people in the chat were talking about like releasing intentionally weak sets. They would, like they could, but they won't. And it just doesn't make any sense to do that. They're not going to just release bad sets on purpose.
Yeah.
They love money. We talked about this. The same company that's putting Raichu behind a DLC before the game's even out. They're gonna put out terrible sets on purpose so that people stop buying it. Like, I don't think so.
One I think giveaway that we've seen in some of these kind of blurbs that they've told the media or they've told fans on their social media sites about, hey, we're gonna ramp up print quantity.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard people have not been able to get access to the product, so we're going to ramp up print quantity. Never once have they said, we're going to ramp up print quality so that people can access our products for cheaper prices. They've only said ramp up print quantity so that you can actually just get it at all. So as far as like, do they have a problem with people paying full price and buying out their stock instantly all the time? No, I don't think they have a problem with that.
No, I know. It's hard to picture them really being sad about it as they wipe their tears with money.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
It's so sad. No, they're not doing that. Another one, this is a bit of a hot take, and I don't think they would do it. I think they have done it before my time. I feel like I remember seeing a video maybe about they did this with Roaring Skies, I think, where the reprint window was longer than normal, right? Like after 2 years, they did actually print more or release a lot more.
Yeah.
So I wasn't around during that, but I know the old heads have talked about that. Like that's an option, is to, and it's not going to fix anything short term, but when we're looking on a year's time horizon, what if they're still putting out new prismatic product in 3-4 years from now? It degrades trust in the value of the sealed product. Like there's a lot of people who care about the value of the collectible with that the Pokemon company is considering when they make their decisions. So I'm not suggesting that they're likely to do this, but like, what are your thoughts? It's been done before. We've certainly seen it. Like I think Hasbro notoriously like does this overprint and kind of like kills a TCG and then moves on to new TCG. I've heard
Yeah.
stuff like that before. So Pokemon's very measured about this, obviously, and they're going to be thoughtful about it. But that's on the table, right? They could just print 3-4 years out instead of 2. Like, what are your thoughts on that one?
Everything's on the table, right? Like there's no rules, there's no laws. Now they have some sort of I think perception and standard operating procedure that we've kind of caught on to, and so it creates certain feelings of confidence in the secondary market. But everything's on the table, right? So Roaring Sky is a great example. There's a really playable card in there, and there's all these rumors about, okay, we want people to be able to get access to this playable card for cheaper than it is now. And then like years after initial print, they just dump a huge booster box reprint that just demolishes the set's value from like $200 a box down to like you couldn't even give it away for 70 or whatever. And then Evolutions, they've done, I think they did 3 or 4 full booster box reprints.
Yeah.
And then they also were like for years keeping Evolutions packs 1 or 2 in like every single collection box that you could possibly get, all the way up into Sword and Shield. You've got Evolutions packs in some of these collection boxes at the beginning of that block.
Yeah.
And so do they have the ability to do that? Yes, they do. But in my mind, both of those examples show I think that they learned valuable lessons from both of those that they don't want to repeat, at least not at that scale. And so I think that they want to get things lower so that they're closer to MSRP. But I think that they've learned from overcorrections before.
Yeah.
And when you're a business, when you overcorrect like this, you'd probably want to overcorrect in your favor, which is what they've done now, right? They've overcorrected in their favor. Things are incredibly, incredibly high demand right at release. And I'm going to say that they're going to, if they slowly continue to increase overall print quantity set to set to set, then maybe you get kind of a slow dampening of demand, or at least a slow increase of supply to meet that demand, and maybe a slow trickle down to MSRP as far as your average price for when something's released. But a mixture of that and coming out with maybe a couple of sets that people are just really not excited about. I don't know exactly what that would take. Maybe Generation 10 has just, I mean, this happens at the beginning of every new generation, right? We've got new Pokemon and new Frontier and whatever, and people are just like, oh, it doesn't feel like it used to. The art is kind of hokey, and it takes time for them to get accustomed to it. Maybe that'll happen Generation 10. Maybe what's happened is because we just went right into this mega evolution block instead of into a brand new generation, the hype stays strong because everyone likes megas. It's actually a throwback. It's not that new.
Yeah.
It's more nostalgic than anything. And so there wasn't that chance for people to fall out of love with the newest products.
It does feel like, I was thinking about this with the Mega Evolution, that for the first set of the era, it feels pretty strong. Like they did kind of load it up compared to some other like SV base, I feel like, or Sword and Shield base.
I agree.
Yeah.
It feels more like they were like, oh, let's keep this party going.
Exactly what I feel like it is. It's like, it's just SV part 2.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like for sure.
Yeah, because like at the end of Sword and Shield, you get all those really great sets, and they did the same thing for SV, right? Surging Sparks and onwards, you just got absolutely banger sets that came out.
Yep.
And shout out Journey Together. I still love that set. I don't know why there's
Yeah.
so much for it in general, but and then they're just going to do 4 more banger sets. We're going to get Mega, we're going to get Phantasmal. There's probably going to be some sort of Emerald, Rayquaza, whatever set that's going to come out. I'd be surprised if that doesn't include like some Mega Groudon Kyogre action. Like
It's gonna it's gonna be ridiculous. Here's another one from Super Treasure Trading, right? They can just increase MSRP. We're talking about MSRP. They could just increase MSRP until what? Until it gets less attractive, I guess. Like, and they might just do that, right? Like if MSRP is 225 a booster box for a little while, maybe it gets less exciting. What do you think?
I don't know, man. Because if demand is still there, right? If demand is still there because of the quality of the sets and because the presence of the community, then increasing MSRP just makes things even more expensive because now
Yeah.
that just makes it a lower floor, right? Or am I wrong?
No, I mean that's probably true. I guess it depends on how much. No, it might not drive the ceiling up though. It depends on how much the scalpers feel like it's worth the $100 profit versus $200 or whatever it is now.
I go back to, and I would not consider myself a scalper, but I buy things on the secondary market, and in a lot of ways, it doesn't matter what the price point is to me as long as I think it'll sell, right? So,
Yeah.
If we move away from sealed product and we're talking about singles, if Lugia V is $200 market price, and so I pay 160 or whatever to somebody who walks up to my table, so I can have a chance to turn a profit on it. And then the next show, it's doubled in price. Well, cool, I've got one, so I sell it and I make a profit. That's great. But I also am still interested in taking more in. And someone wants to come up and sell it to me, and it's worth 400, and so I pay them 350 or whatever. Like it's no skin off my back. I mean, I'm now at a place where I have the capital to do that, and so I guess we're talking about, will it dissuade scalpers who are poorly capitalized? Maybe. But poorly capitalized people still want to make money, so they'll just buy a couple. But
Yeah.
the highly capitalized people, and think of it this way. Let's peel the curtain back, guys. Here's the reality. In your local area, there are people who for sure go to Target and Walmart and Costco and whatever, and they get the jump on the drops when the shelves are restocked, and they buy as much as they possibly can. They put all of that product in their car, and they drive directly to one of the LGSs in your area, and they sell all of that product for a margin in their favor to the LGS owner, who then actually has a chance to have product on their shelves, and they'll sell it at or slightly above the TCG market price. That is true today. And in an environment where we have high demand, that will still be true regardless of the MSRP price.
So does the Pokemon Company even want to fix the current market?
I want to think that they do a little. I want to think that they want their products to release at MSRP and be available for a few months at MSRP until maybe the next set comes out.
Yeah.
And then maybe with the impact of reprints, they can return products to an MSRP point for maybe 3 to 9 months or so after original release of that set. I think they want that to be true, because that means that they are addressing as large a market as they think they can get to. Because there are people that are priced out right now, and the Pokemon Company wants their money too.
Yeah. Yeah. They want everyone's money.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
They're what, how'd you put it earlier? They're doing it.
They're doing the thing.
They're doing the thing. They are. They're doing the thing. Luke asks, do we want to fix the current market?
Yes.
I do too. Yep.
That's easy for me. Now, like,
Easy,
does
yes,
that
yeah.
mean that there's going to be some percentage of my current business inventory that goes down in value? Probably yes, right? But I guys, between you and me, I like Pokemon cards. I
Whoa.
want I want to buy some at release. When a new set comes out, I want to buy it and I want to open some. But I haven't pre-ordered / bought a new product with the intention to open some and then keep some, or open some, sell some, or whatever, since November of last year.
Yeah.
I haven't even tried.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to do that. I want to open some cards. I want Trey to come over, and I want, Franny to come down, and we open up some packs and have a good time and pull a chase card or two. Like that's what got me into this hobby,
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you, man. I'm a collector. I want to be able to open the cards. Even for buying and selling and vending and all that, I don't like the instability. It makes it a little more scary on like what decisions to make, right? Like it's easier to make a big loss. So I yearn to rip again. Yes, the Jarvitar yearns. Yeah. Of course, I'd rather have it fixed. I would absolutely take earning less profit in this chaos for a slightly more stable, maybe a healthier scenario where it's sealed product is available at MSRP, and the stuff that we're buying and selling at our tables go up, but not overnight doubling, but they go up over time. I think that'd be I'd prefer to deal in that. And that was kind of how it felt like a year ago. It wasn't that long ago that it sort of felt that way. So
Yeah,
I'd like to go back to that.
I have before we pivot and go to Q&A, I have a question for you, Ricky.
Okay.
And maybe for the chat as well. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Is the current market status the where we are just going up at a quick rate? Is this the ascension of a market that is getting to a new standard? A new, like, we're getting to the point where, okay, it's a repricing. Pokemon cards, sealed, singles, graded, will always be just much more expensive than they used to be a year ago, and that's just how it's going to be. And once we get to that point, there will be peaks and valleys and flattenings and all that kind of stuff. But are we seeing a mass repricing that's going to have like long-term staying power, or is it something else? And I want to kind of talk about this from the point of view of other marketplaces. Think about cryptocurrency, like blue chip ones like Bitcoin and others. Like,
yeah,
they've those things, or the stock market back in the day, it experienced every now and again a repricing of the whole thing.
yeah,
And that wasn't just caused by a fad. It wasn't just caused by sentiment. It was caused by a lot of underlying fundamental changes that gave people more confidence in the ability of those things to return value and to retain value, right? And it's my point of view that yes, there's going to be corrections, but I think we've gone through a repricing, because there's so much more technology than there used to be. So many more people can find the value of their items so much faster. There's so many more well-capitalized businesses, venture capital, investors, these types of people. There's so many more people that are in our age group, 22 to 42 or so, who have real jobs and have stable income and are willing to put money into this thing because it feels good and it's fun, but it also has retained value in the past. And so there's that confidence. Like, there are new things that are true that just weren't true before. So has that caused a repricing, or is this a bubble?
I think it's a repricing. I mean, how could it go back? Picture what would it take for it to go back to like 2018 ever. This is
Like,
like asking what would it take for Bitcoin, which is $117,795 right now.
yeah.
What would it take for it to go back to what it was in 2017, in the beginning of 2017, $908? What would it take for Bitcoin to drop to $908? Let alone you look a couple years, you look a year back to 60. What would it even take for Bitcoin to go back to 60 from 117? I mean, Bitcoin is an interesting comparison, and there's a lot of that remains to be seen about that, like as an asset class or as a currency or whatever. People are going to have their opinions. I completely agree that the level of attention that's on it now, and the types of people and the types of money, the types of collectors, the collectors with money that have moved into it, I think you're touching on a really important thing in terms of the Pokemon IP's life cycle, which is the people our age who have money now.
Yes.
We're probably not going to stop having money like anytime soon. Maybe never. I think it's just going to continue. So
yeah. Well, and the thing is that people in America, on average, in our age group, between now, let's say mid-20s and up until their mid-50s, their income in general every year goes up. That's just a fact. And yeah, it's impossible to know exactly what some of those settling points are going to be, after repricing events. But yeah, to answer your question about what would cause Bitcoin or other things that are as stable, like I would say some sort of like enormous PR scandals.
Yeah.
Some sort of enormous like regulatory event from the government.
Yeah.
Or some sort of enormous act of God that just wipes GDP off the face of the planet, right? We're talking about natural disasters and wars and, market collapse of some sort. And those things could happen to any marketplace. And history also shows that after those things kind of settle and more surety re-enters the market, things go back up.
Yep.
And they go back up to higher highs than they were ever before.
Yeah. 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 I think it's, it does take something massive like that, right? It takes something like the creator of Bitcoin is actually alive, and Bitcoin is actually he's going to create more of it. It's not finite. He's going to increase the supply.
All of your Bitcoin's actually owned by somebody else.
Yeah. By the Fed or,
Right.
by Charles Schwab. Yeah, it takes something like that. I think with Pokemon, like, is it in a bubble is an interesting thing. Like some people, could it crash 50% from where it is now? It could. Would that 50% still be like 10 times what it was not that long ago? It also would.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a new standard. It's to your questions, an ascension of a new standard, but we don't know where it's going to settle. Like you said, we don't know where it's going to settle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we got on our main topic. Is that right? Or do we have any other things that we wanted to do before Q&A?
I think we answered some questions for a little bit.
Okay. Let's do it, guys.
Modern Cards AZ, yeah, always with the super chat.
Thank you, Modern Cards. Yes, I'll still be in AZ for Saturday. Yeah, the Front Row Card Show, they cut their show in half. There's no longer going to be a Sunday because of like I think a local sporting event, probably a football game is my guess. That's going to be right there in that area because the event takes place like literally right next to the football stadium. Anyways, I'll still be there. And I guess we'll just have to hang out and play some Top Golf on Saturday night before leaving the next morning to go back home.
Sign of an Open Eye asked if I will be there. I will not be there in Arizona, but we did get a question about Card Party West. And so we do know that you're going to be vending there, and I'm going to be walking at Card Party West. I will be there the full weekend, walking around, and Jake and I are talking about maybe doing some sort of fun challenge. So we'll figure something out there.
That'd be cool.
What are the questions? If Slab stopped selling at shows but sold, oh yeah. What are your thoughts on this, Jake? I know we were talking about this liquidity thing. If Slab stopped selling at shows but sold listings on eBay stay the same, do you just hold?
I think a vendor has to make an educated guess, an educated bet on what to do with their inventory at all times. And some sectors of their inventory are going to be slower movers at certain shows. And so if you get to the point where you're seeing that the portion of your inventory that's in slabs or certain types of slabs is sitting for longer than other sectors, then you want to make the educated decision to liquidate those another way. And so if you're seeing like tons of great selling volume happen online, but not really necessarily in person at a show, maybe you need to offload some things online. I know vendors who oftentimes when they have a card that they've sat on for too long, they decide to consign it with a big auction house and just get the cash out of it on eBay or something like that. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that you could potentially move something. If the only way that you're selling something, no matter what, is at a show, then you're kind of hamstringing yourself.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. You got to keep your options open here. I know for me, I'm going to be walking a show this weekend, and I am considering bringing a lot of my slabs to try to trade with other vendors for singles, just because I like vending at shows as a medium for selling, and singles have been selling a lot more for me to like the regular collector than slabs. So while at any given show, the last 2 shows I've done, 70% of my profit for the show will come from a few big slab sales. Usually, like there's sort of an 80-20 rule, like 20% of deals, 80% of the net. I'm doing more deals in singles, so I am thinking about walking shows and trying to trade them into singles. I'm considering that, just because it's what'll work at shows for me.
Nice.
Sumus had a really interesting question here. I haven't thought about this yet, but I did see this recently, so I don't know if I have a good take on this, but I do think it's interesting. How do you think PSA's submission buyout option will influence grading integrity and market pricing? So PSA, for those that don't know, PSA now has, I think when you grade something, you can just like hit a button and accept an offer. It's like those virtual gambling mystery packs where like they can send you the slab that you pull from their like mystery vending, but they'll just give you a buyout offer there. And people usually take that. Like, I don't know if I have a good take on this yet. I'd have to think about this more, but how do you think this affects grading integrity or the market pricing?
I mean, Summers, I think the question is born from the obvious conflict of interest that this is presenting, right? Like this kind of a business scenario would never fly in a regulated financial services industry, for example. But I also am of the belief that PSA has more to lose by intentionally compromising their grading scrutiny process just so that they have a chance to sell higher graded and therefore more valuable cards on their eBay account or whatever it may be. I'm going to personally guess that PSA's revenue share, the share of their revenue that they're generating from the grading service, is still like way, way, way more than the revenue they're generating from selling these things. And what is it, like 5% or whatever they're going to take off the top for the value of the card that, they're buying from you / selling.
Yeah.
They have more to lose by losing their, I guess, credibility. That's my take. And hopefully they know that.
I'm sure they know that. And some has pointed out, I thought of GameStop as well, their partnership with GameStop and potentially selling these in GameStops or there's different ways that they can potentially offload those. I mean, yeah, that could have something to do with that. It's certainly possible. Booked Garage asks, do we get insurance to cover inventory for situations of theft during traveling? Car insurance companies can insure items being transferred up to $1 million. I did recently get collector's insurance. So for me, the answer is yes. It was hard to get it. Like my homeowner's insurance would only insure up to a certain amount because I'm in California in a wildfire zone. So it was like not that straightforward to insure it. But yeah, once the value is at a certain point and you're moving it around or whatever, yeah, I think you'd be wise to insure it. So for me, the answer is yes.
Yeah, collector's insurance. Yeah, they do offer, those types of scenarios. You're traveling, whatnot. So those things you can get written into your policy, I believe.
Yeah. How liquid do we like to be? What percent do we generally have in cash?
I saw this question. All things being equal, the percent liquid that you should be, if you're a vendor, for example, is going to vary depending on how big your inventory is, right? So, like the beginning, like if you're a brand new vendor and you've got like $2,000 worth of inventory, it's probably worth your time to have, like, if you can, $1,000 or so, so you can do some buying at the shows. Because in the beginning, like, you really need to be in the accumulation phase. But long term, like let's say you get to the point where your inventory is like worth a couple 100,000, it no longer makes sense to have 50% of that in cash. In fact, it's probably unwise to have that much cash, and also unsafe, depending on your level of security. So as you get a larger inventory value, that percentage recommendation decreases, and probably, like, if I think about some of the big vendors at a Collecticon, like I'm thinking like Pokemon Network, who's bringing like high seven figures of product to a Collecticon. I'd be surprised if they brought more than 100,000 in cash to the show, honestly. But obviously they have access to more capital otherwise, and they're a big business, so they probably have a lot of cash on hand. So different answer for different people, different scenarios. I would say just have enough so that you can have the liquidity you need to buy what you think you're going to want at the show.
Yeah. Yep. For me, at shows when I'm vending, I don't like to have a ton, in part because part of my flywheel for content and the way I enjoy the hobby is to go walk shows and buy. And so I tend to bring more to shows that I'm walking and do my buying there. But yeah, I mean, I it's still a good idea to have a couple $1,000s for most, the average vendor. I think, like, somebody that's not doing it as their full-time job or with hundreds of thousands of dollars of budget. I've seen some people in my local area with $40,000 to $80,000 budgets right now. I'm not saying that that's what they have in like physical cash, but yeah, I mean, it's completely up to your comfort level and experience level. For me, it's a few $1,000s as a vendor and a little bit more than that as a buyer when I'm walking, probably. Let's see. Blast Boost, what's up, man? Good to see you. Love these podcasts. Keep it up. We will. We're even considering ways to keep it up even more. Do we, engage you all more? Do we potentially increase the frequency? Who knows? We're talking about all kinds of things.
Wow.
Where do you
showing your hand to the crowd there, Ricky?
We're just considering things is all.
Yeah, we're always considering.
We're always considering things.
We're on the spectrum of considering.
We sure are. Where do you see the plasma sets, secret rare cards in the next 5 years? Blastoise, Charizard, and Empoleon, Garchomp, PSA 10, given really low pops. Will people collect more vintage shinies? Well, I don't know what their values are at right now off the top of my head, but I personally believe in these sorts of this segment of the hobby.
Low pop vintage with really awesome characters sounds like a strong play to me. Yeah. Now, Blast Boost, if we're comparing this play to other things you could do with your money in the hobby, that's a much more complicated question. Because let's say you spend, what's the Charizard go for? Like 20 grand. Let's say you spend 20 grand on a PSA 10 Charizard from Plasma. Is that going to go to 40 grand faster than that 20 grand being invested in Surging Sparks booster box cases? I'm going to say probably not. So it just depends on really what you're trying to do. Are you trying to just own a really cool card and not lose a ton of money? Yeah, I think these are probably pretty safe. But if your goal is to like maximize returns or something like that, then maybe it's something else. Now, if your goal is just to park value and you want something to be really liquid on the other end, Maybe it's also a separate play. Maybe it needs to be a bunch of like $500 alt art PSA 10s that you could
Yeah.
sell to literally anybody. So just depends on what you're trying to do.
Yep. Agreed, man. Luke Redden says, do you think that current vintage mid-era grails retain value with newer generations of collectors who grow up in the swoosh or SV era of collecting, specifically when they hit money earning years? To me, the answer to this is clearly yes. I mean, we already see like the retain value relative to now is, I guess it depends how you define retain value. But like, if the question is more like, will the younger generations come to care about older cards? I know like Dylan Bulbasaur hates WotC because he's like just aged, like that's not what he grew up with. There's a young vendor in my card show scene that's like 17 years old, and he also hates WotC. But he loves the like the early mid-era stuff, right? Like gold stars and things like that. But the early like base fossil jungle, not as exciting to some of those folks. So I do think these will always be in demand because they are scarce and there's exclusivity to them. That would be my take.
Agreed.
Nothing else to add, huh?
Couldn't say it better. Exactly right. I mean, it's part of the market. People want it.
Yeah.
People are always going to want it.
Yeah. Yeah. Bradley YT Gaming. Do you think there will be more PC ETB drops in the future for past Scarlet Violet sets? That would be spicy. I think the appeal of these PC ETBs is the limited run. What do you think?
Maybe Destined. Have they done one since the release day? I don't know.
I don't know. And I feel like I heard rumors or someone did say something about some of those sets getting another drop, or some sets did get another drop. Maybe
Prismatic
I don't know.
already
Did
had
Prismatic
additional.
Yeah, Prismatic had an additional one.
Had a second. I don't know about Journey or Destined or Black Bolt / White Flare. So maybe on those ones that I don't think they've done a second wave yet.
Yeah. Okay. So the answer's probably.
What I've seen is seemed, at least for SV, it seems like they've done like a drop at release and then like a month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks later, another drop. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do that same for the rest of the gen.
I was sort of interpreting the question. I mean, maybe I'm just looking at it wrong. I was sort of interpreting the question like really like way past, like stuff that feels really done, like Obsidian Flames or Paldea Evolved or something. I think the answer to that would be no.
I don't think so, because the Pokemon Center, they don't hold themselves out as like a traditional retail store. They hold themselves out as like an exclusive Pokemon kind of store where like they put out things and then 2 years later, like you can't get those anymore. And that's the same with their apparel and their pins and their plushies and their cards.
Yeah. Yeah. What's up, my dudes? Love the weekly show so much. Thanks, Taze crew. What are your thoughts on shows in 2026 and moving forward as vendors? Is it going to get more difficult to secure tables at good shows?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think anytime you have a marketplace of opportunity, an industry that proves to be, like a legitimate business opportunity. In the beginning, you have kind of this feeding frenzy, and then it starts to kind of normalize and level out, and it becomes much more exclusive to the people that really know what they're doing. That's the same thing in technology and, well, every industry, basically. At the beginning, there's a lot of people trying to do the same thing, and then some of them burn out, some of them fail, some of them transition to something else. And, as things you get more educated, as the industry gets more educated about the successful way to do things, it standardizes the way things work, and all of the kind of available low-hanging fruit gets picked. And one of those things is access to these shows and the tables and the relationships that are involved in that.
Yep. I one of the people that is one of my highest tier of channel members. So I offer a monthly meeting, and so he and I've been meeting every month for 45 minutes for like 5 months now. And he's an aspiring vendor, and tried to get tickets for Collecticon in Houston or Dallas, I think Houston, and they sold out right away. They had like some sort of glitch. He got through, and then they sold out. Like they had to like refund him. But long and short of it is the thought I had was sort of like, I think for new people, you almost have to know someone who's going to have tables and you get in with them for some of these shows. Like it is pretty hard without connections. Or at least it's not getting easier without connections to get into these. And yeah, I mean, every time I vend, a lot of the vendors come around and they're like, this is my first time. And you and Jake got me into vending. I hear that 3 to 5 times a show. You and Jake got me into vending, which is awesome. I mean, it's really cool that people are like sort of that inspired. And for sure, like, I'm sure Jake, you got into it because you watched other people and got inspired, and I know I did too. So we didn't invent vending, but yeah, man, it's getting more competitive. There are more people interested in doing it, and even at these small shows, every single time, 5 people come up. This is my first show, and I got into it because of you and Jake and Bulbasaur, whatever, some combination. It's only going to get harder for the short term. I think 2026, it's going to get harder.
Yeah, and let's say one of those 5 is someone who wants to do it like on a more serious level and very consistently. Like, just the law of numbers, the law of large numbers means that those spots will get filled by people who know what they're doing and want to be involved for the long term.
Your son has a compliment for us.
Thank you, son. It's great to hear from you. Arvin, I miss you. Do I get to see you in Card Party? I hope I do. I want to hear your screaming voice from the other side of the vendor hall as much as possible.
Does he have an inside voice?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Yep.
From our friends Slam. Hey, Jake and Ricky. Any advice for safety when transporting and setting up and taking down at a show? Any horror stories from your guys' experience? I've been good, but we did showcase an unfortunate example earlier. It happens all the time with, I think, really the teardown and going back to your car after the show seems to be like one of the riskier phases of the show. So pull your car up somewhere or travel in big groups would be my recommendation during the load out. That seems to be where a majority of major like armed robberies are happening. They're not happening in the venue. They're happening when you're alone in the corner of a parking lot with all your stuff. What else comes to mind for you, Jake?
Yeah, you need to create a system that optimizes for safety, right? And that comes down to all the things Ricky talked about, where your car's located, where your inventory is, who's with it at all times. I mean, there should never be a time where your inventory is in your car and you're not there.
100%.
Like that should never happen. Now, I'm not saying that anyone who does that is, they deserve to be victimized. That's not what I'm saying. No one should be stealing from other people, especially small businesses. We're all just trying to get to the point where we can provide for our families. But there are people who are looking to commit crimes of opportunity, and you need to give them as few reasons as possible to make that decision. So yeah, never have your inventory out of your sight, out of your reach.
Yeah.
And when it comes to having people around you at the shows or in your business, hire people, work with people that you trust and that and they know you and all of that kind of stuff. We're all taking risks at the end of the day, but you need to minimize risk as much as you can.
Yep. Agreed. This is part of the whole thing, part of the reason also to invest in building relationships and essentially like networking, because every show now that I do locally, I get placed by someone I know and I can trust. So if I'm vending it alone or whatever, I need to step away, go to the restroom, whatever it is, I can just have them, hey, keep an eye on my stuff, and I know that they're good to go for it. So yeah, that absolutely, I'll agree with all that. You got to Work with people you trust and keep an eye on it. I totally agree. I've seen people leave stuff in their car and get it smashed. And I have the same thought where it's like, obviously you didn't deserve that. I'd rather live in a world where that doesn't happen. But like, I would like, what are you doing? Leaving your stuff in your car also at the same time, you know? So I'm with you. Echo Exchange. So this is a question that you and I, Jake, we get all the time. I get asked this. This is like one of the top 5 questions I get asked the most now that I've made videos for 2 of the other top 5 or so. I get asked this constantly. And it has evolved for me over time. And I think this Echo Exchange here is touching on something important. So the question for anyone who listens to the pod afterwards with no video, do you guys feel that sourcing inventory is no issue for you guys due to your following? Was it more difficult in the beginning, and where do you primarily source? My answer is that it is 100% the following. It helps so much with sourcing. It's like actually hard to quantify how, like, to articulate accurately how much more work it was when I didn't have a following from content compared to now, where in terms of active sourcing, when I'm not choosing to do it by buying at a card show, like I am not scouring Facebook Marketplace. And I know vendors that still do that just because they like to or whatever. I personally, from a time standpoint, I just wait around for somebody to come to me, and it happens regularly. So this is a huge way I source now. That's my very honest answer. But it was much harder at the beginning, and I used Reddit and card shows and Facebook Marketplace and all Facebook groups, Discord groups, absolutely anything you can. Yeah. What would you say?
Yes, for sure. Right. And, our following is, on social media is one thing, but like what that actually is just a reputation. And there are tons of people who have built reputations in this industry who don't create social media content, who also experience a much easier time sourcing, right? So it has to do with how many people know that you're doing this business, how
Yeah.
many people trust that you're doing business in a way that's on the up and up. How many deals have you done where people could vouch for your reliability and your integrity, right? So that can be done without creating content. Now, does content make it easier? Yes, content is literally pouring gasoline on a fire, both in the positive and the negative. So if you want to get your name out there in a positive way, you should make good positive content. That's a really good place to start. Now, sourcing when you don't have a reputation and you don't have a following, it's more like cold calling than you want it to be. It's work. You have to talk to people, you have to talk to strangers, and you have to be okay getting rejected from time to time.
Yep.
And the more people you talk to, the more people you ask and work with, the better chance you have at making a deal.
Yep. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay,
I saw
sorry.
the camera though.
Yeah, my camera overheated. So I'm gonna try to switch my webcam. Sorry, man.
Okay, take your time. I'll find some
Yep.
questions and take the lead while you're working on it.
Cool. Give me 1 sec.
Yep. All right, all right. How do you feel leaving tens of thousands of dollars worth of inventory in your hotel room when you go out after a show? Tobacco Joe, like I said, you should never have a time where you are your inventory is alone without you and you don't know what's going on with it. Let's go here. Let me find another good question here. Any questions? You guys can just populate them here at the chat.
Okay. I should be back. Can you hear me okay?
We got you.
All right. Thank you. Sorry about that. Yes. Charizard use overheat. Hot takes burning the camera. Indeed.
I'm not seeing any other questions here. We might have tapped
Yeah,
everybody out.
I think we got a lot of them. Yeah, if no one has any burning questions, we can call it a night. We're at about 2 hours here.
Let's do it. We got a little wrap up segment anyway, don't we, Ricky?
We sure do. We sure do. We've got to share an elite forecast.
What's the elite forecast? Well, what I am forecasting, I kind of want to steal yours because I think I know what yours is.
Oh, come on. Okay,
But I won't. I won't. And I'll
Okay.
actually, my elite forecast. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. In fact, I'm going to put my mouth where my money is because I've already made the play.
Okay.
I over the past 2 weeks have bought, I think, like 12 Surging Sparks booster boxes because I think that by the end of the year they're at $325 each.
By the end of the year. Wow. Wait, but like they're fully within the reprint. By the way, I hear you. I have a decent amount of Surging Sparks boxes too. What if they reprint though?
I don't think they will. I think they already got a booster box reprint. They've already got an ETB reprint. And I think the Pokemon Company is moving on to other sets that need attention.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm so with you that funny enough, you didn't know that we didn't plan this. I bought one. I have one over there. I got one today in the mail. Surging Sparks booster box. Diamond Hands Hodl. Okay, well, I'm not sure if you've heard of Chilling Rain.
Oh, I have heard of that. I've heard of Chilling Rain.
Yes. Well, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. I used that last time, and you used the same far-fetched idea last time, so I thought I could maybe repeat one of my previous answers.
I'd probably have to call you out in front of hundreds of people and shame you on the internet.
Yeah. No, my actual answer is something we talked about a little bit earlier, which is price memory and slab liquidity. So I think that the low liquidity in person at shows of PSA 10 cards under 10 years old, that the values across the board right now are like 20 or 30% too high. And I think the 30-ish% correction, I'm going to call, happens right before the holidays. People are going to take the gains that they have and they're going to use those to do their holiday shopping and buy gifts and go on trips and things along those lines. So I was already feeling this. You and I talked a little bit about this, and then a lot of things are spiking right now. A lot of modern stuff. Someone said Crown Zenith in the chat. Crown Zenith's going nuts. And people are buying the singles, but the PSA 10 slabs, like regular collectors are not looking at them. The last couple shows, I've sold a few slabs, mostly to other vendors, and occasionally a collector who really just likes slabs. And then I did a little story sale today on Instagram, and it was, I don't know, 20 slabs or so. I sold 2 so far, and they were a base set Charizard, PSA 8, and I think PSA 8 or 9 Crystal Guardians Charizard. So 2 old cards.
Charizard season.
It's Charizard season, and they're older cards. So I'm just calling that, yes, people can get used to the new price memory. I could be wrong for this call, but my elite forecast is modern-ish PSA 10s are like 30% overvalued, and they will correct in the holidays.
I think your call is exactly right. I also think that the other contributing factors to their correction, it's not just going to be that people want to lock in their gains. I think it's going to be, number one, these cards have gone up in value enough that the grading play is too obvious. And so a whole new batch of fresh PSA 10s for all of these modern cards is going to hit the market probably the next 6, 8, 12 weeks. It's going to just start coming in. new Lugias, new Blazikins, new Moonbryons, all this kind of stuff, because these packs are getting ripped all the time still. We pulled a Gengar VMAX on stream a month ago. We pulled a Lugia on stream a week ago. Like these packs are getting opened. They're still affordable, and the chase cards are being pulled and graded as we speak. So increase in supply. And yeah, I think that's going to really, and just changing attention. Everything has its season. Right now we're in alt art season. What's crazy about this market though is that the seasons have been changing so fast, and then they go back to something else so fast. So like we had an alt art boom already this year. So if we're gonna have 2 booms in every sector every year, like things will just eventually just get so crazy expensive. But
yeah, and we were what was alt art season? Was there, like we had one last summer, right?
Yes,
It was like
yes.
July-ish.
We had a big one in like June, July, August, right? That was kind of like the first time that Sword and Shield, like Giratina, Lugia, all these things got into the higher numbers.
Yeah.
Then there was the slump, and then we had another alt art boom around the holidays and into January, February, and then things cooled off. 151 Charizard, for example, went from like 1,000 down to like 600, and now it's back to 1,300. So all that happened in the space of 6-8 months.
Yeah. It's wild. Yeah, and like you said, these seasons are very close together. It's like every month now there's a different season. It is every month, right?
Megas, and then tag teams, and then alt arts, and then SIRs, and then low pop vintage, and then megas, and then tag teams.
Yep. Yeah, totally. All right, man. Should we call it a day there?
That's all I got, guys. Ricky, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for always making time for us and for the people, and for getting your camera fixed so we could see your face again. And thanks for participating in our the Machamp plug. Shout out Machamp.
Shout out Machamp.
And folks, we appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been the Midweek Machamps Volume 5. We have another episode coming at you in 2 weeks from today. We're working on a special guest. So hopefully we can get a guest secured for that. If not, we still have other good plans. That'll also be right before Card Party. So we'll get to talk a lot about Card Party. And that'll already be October. The next time we meet will be October. It'll be we'll be in the swing of fall. Looking forward to that. Change of seasons. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night. And that's all I got to say. Ricky, any closing thoughts?
Nope. Love y'all.
Bye, guys.
Peace.